morning and welcome to this webcast with Crunchfish in connection with the company's report for Q2 2022. The company is today represented by CEO Joachim Samuelsson. My name is Jens Jakob Åbel Nordqvist and I work for Västra Hamnen Corporate Finance and I will be your moderator for today. I will have a discussion with Joachim about the report and Crunchfish's current situation. And I encourage everyone who's listening to write in questions using the chat function. Once you've written your questions, I will read them aloud and Joachim will then answer them. Finally, I'd just like to remind you that this session is being recorded and that the recording will be available on Crunchfish YouTube channel and on Västra Hamnen Corporate Finance YouTube channel. So with that said, Joachim, what would you say are maybe the main points that investors should take away from this Q2 report, in your opinion?
A good opening question. I think the main point is sort of that we're starting to deliver. I think I put that in the CEO word, time to deliver. And we are. We released a press release yesterday within Digital Cash that this is the first actually sort of integration we have done. And it's actually worked really smoothly with this Southeast Asian company, Sirius, who provides a platform which links our sort of technology to the banking system. And I was happy to get that out because that was a process that started after the previous report that we did, gone smoothly here, and now we were ready to release and tell about it. But I think what we actually are writing 2 pages about in the quarterly report is something we just had as a note in the Q1, is that we are working with a leading bank in India. And we have applied with them to participate what is called in the Central Bank of India's regulatory sandbox. That integration work has also started. This is a similar in a way setup as the Sirius setup that we announced yesterday, with the difference that we already have 2 banks. Not just the leading bank, but also an additional bank who are part of this project. And this integration is not just going to be about connecting our software with their platform, but they are also connecting with the banks. Sirius have yet to do that when they go out and talk to banks. But this project is actually, it's going to be with real money when we are going for pilots. And that is one of the requirements for to be part of the regulatory sandbox of the central bank. The central bank hasn't yet given their final approval of this, so I want to say that. But we have worked during this quarter. This has been a main focus of us in discussions with the Central Bank of India, as well as this leading bank, of how to do this, how to set it up, and we have sort of started the work, but. And we've got guidance already in a way for preparing for the regulatory sandbox, but it's not been officially announced yet. But we thought we need to tell about this. So this is the second integration that we're doing, and with potentially a much bigger scale, because the beauty of this integration, just like with Sirius and here, is that we're linking up to a platform in the back end, which makes it easy for banks to join. And that's also, again, why the central bank thinks this is interesting, because they're not just interesting for innovation for one bank, they're interesting for innovation for the Indian market. So we're starting to deliver in Digital Cash. Likewise, I think what we talked about 3 months ago was this quite hot product, XR Skeleton Stereo. Stereo meaning that we have 2 cameras, and that's in order that you really can see 2 hands at the same time. We think we're pretty unique in the world to be able to deliver here. Maybe Meta can do it from Facebook, but that's just going to go out to their own devices within the VR space, I think. But we can, as an independent vendor, deliver this. And we have, during the quarter, signed software license agreements, sort of customer commercial agreements with big players. Lenovo, sort of definitely one of the leading Chinese players, and now recently we also released with Ximmerse, another one, and the pipeline is very strong in this area, and we're getting an upfront, we're getting a yearly support fee, and quite reasonable royalties as well. Royalty is sort of what we get per produced unit. So this is turning into money, and this is turning into something that I think the gesture business could live on as really a good business. And so just starting to deliver, I think, and I think everybody's waiting for that. And I think we've been a little bit low on communication, but we've been working hard to get some of these things in order, and it's coming together. I think that's the main point to take away, that in this quarter, that Crunchfish, with both their solutions, the digital cash side as well as the gesture side, is starting to deliver. It's not something that will just fall flat, but we're optimistic that we actually are coming to market with something strong. So sorry for a long answer, but that's in a way sums it up.
Exactly, laying the foundations for reaping the benefits, so to speak. So you mentioned that a little bit, but let's move on to digital cash. You mentioned in the report that a leading Ewallet company is interested in your digital cash offering, and that this company's senior management wanted to broaden the scope of what Crunchfish could be able to offer. Does that mean that in this case it's both digital cash offline and online that is being discussed, or did they want to broaden the scope of Crunchfish solution in other ways? Could you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah. First of all, to put it in perspective, this is another thing that we are doing in India. This is not the thing we're doing with this leading bank. This is a leading e-wallet provider that we have talked about. We had a webinar on this one where our partner ToneTag presented using ultrasound for the proximity interaction. And that project is progressing well as well. I think during the quarter here, they have presented it to their senior management, and the feedback was that they like it. And they say, don't just think about using it between a payer's app and a mobile app. Think wider. And I'll give you a few examples as you're asking. What do you mean with wider? What do they mean? Well, one is that the device on the merchant side could be other types of devices than just a mobile phone and an app. One thing which is very common in India is that you have a sound box. And sound box is a device that confirms to the merchant that a payment has received. And that, if you think you pay, you must be online to pay with, say, UPI in India. You pay, it goes to the back end, and then it sends a signal to that sound box, and then you say, received 50 rupees. So then he knows that has happened. They are thinking, well, okay, we're going to connect in the proximity here, so we don't have to go via the back end, but it's good if this project connect to that kind of device as well. But they have also thought of things like, why don't you use this for paying bills? You know, in Sweden, you can have a QR code coming on a bill, and you can think, you know, that's not a proximity payment per se, but if you have money on you have digital cash on your app, given that it's spotty when internet connectivity, I think their management are thinking this way, that it's good if you can just make the payment and you save it on your own app. You do it, you know, if you just have money available on your app, you can pay. Again, no one knows about this because you have just scanned a piece of paper. But as soon as you go online, then this transaction that you've made will be then logged to the back end, and then the transaction is sort of happening. But they said, think of those use cases as well, which is bill payment would essentially be an online type of payment. However, I think they are thinking for user experience, that you don't have to wait to get, I can't sort of sign this now because I have no internet. But here you could do that whenever you want to, and then in the background it will check for connectivity, and when connectivity comes, then you commit that payment. So I think they are thinking in that way, and the people we're working with here, they have been asked to go back, widen the scope, and this could be a major investment for this company for 2023. So I think the project is very much on track. We did say that we hope that they would start sort of their integration sort of here in Q3. That could still possibly happen, or maybe they're a little bit delayed simply of the widening scope here that they will start in Q4. But it is, they commit now for what they're going to do during 2023. They make their plans, and it looks positive, I would say, that this major e-wallet provider in India is having us in their plans. And I'm optimistic. But again, it's again, we can't really, there's no press release we can do really, because it's still not a confirmed case, but things are looking good.
Brilliant. And you mentioned it there a little bit, but I think it was in connection with this leading e-wallet provider that you changed the interaction proxy link from Bluetooth to ultrasound. And I was just wondering, is that more secure, or is that just another way of doing it?
No, sorry, it's the other way around. That it
was
ultrasound. So Tone Tag is they deliver an using ultrasound as a bearer between the payer and the receiver here of the payment. The problem with ultrasound is that it's the throughput, the number of bits per second they can transfer is fairly low. And the payload we have, the amount of information we need to transfer in our offline payments is high. So I think the e-wallet provider told us, I met them in person when I was there in India end of May, that I think the customer experience is not great, because it takes a bit too long time. But do you have an alternative to that? And we say, well, we have actually ourselves developed a solution using Bluetooth. This is something we have that already. We're calling it Proxy Link, which using BLE, Bluetooth Low Energy. And so we deliver that into this project, and they have tested that and like that, and that is the solution they're now going for. So it's not about security; it's about user experience in the moment of payment. That it needs to be faster and better user experience.
Right.
Actually, I think that's driving it.
Right. So turning back now to the other project with the leading bank in India with the regulatory sandbox. I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about that project, maybe how it came about to start, and how the integration work is progressing as we speak.
Yeah, I did elaborate that a bit in the report, but it's this leading bank. We've had a dialogue already since sort of last year. We talked about digital cash offline at that point. They thought it was an interesting solution, but then we started to talk about, now we have online as well. And I think changed in a way their interest, because they saw that this is actually, in their opinion, I think this might be better than what's called UPI Lite, because UPI Lite is almost similar like the online solution, that it takes away the load of the core banking system. If you have sort of some money available to you, you don't have to go via the core banking system. But I think what we are telling is that with our digital cash online, you can have multiple apps using the same balance, and I think they like that idea. But what happened in Q2 was that the Central Bank of India, RBI, Reserve Bank of India, they went out to all banks and said, we'd like you to be more innovative. And it is particularly in the space of offline payments. Do you have ideas as a bank how you can be more innovative? And then this bank that we had prior contact to, they contacted us and said, well, we've got this request from the central bank that be more innovative, and we think the project with you with digital cash offline suits it really well. And that started this process that we applied to the regulatory sandbox, and it's been a bit it's been a very useful experience because I think it's again, the central bank, they're not interested in a solution just for one bank. Then that bank could do that on their own, and that was the feedback we got. And also this bank, they said, well, if you're going to be in the regulatory sandbox, you need to be interoperable with another bank. We got that feedback sort of in it was June, July timeframe. So what needed to happen was that, okay, another bank needs to join. Thanks to connection from the bank we talked to, they contacted another bank, said, do you want to join this project? And they did. Now we are waiting for that. This would satisfy now the central bank that we have a project here showcasing offline payments and doing it a way where it is interoperable. And what I really like is that the way the bank has taken leadership on providing, again, a very similar platform as Sirius. This glue which links our software to the bank backend. Because this platform would be potentially also then useful for other banks later on to join in a very smooth fashion. Because I think we've realized that this is what this leading bank that we talked to, that we're not experts on developing this interface. We need to take in resources to do this. And now I think within this project, we are with a partner here to the bank. We are getting this together, which is quite similar to what Sirius has done with us. So I think we are confident in our part in delivering the integration. But this project, as I said before, will also now link with the banks, because this project will demonstrate with then in the pilot that we're going to transfer real money. And that's, yeah, so this is more of an ecosystem type of innovation project, but it's led by a leading bank in India, which is so much more tangible in a way than the Sirius project. But the Sirius project, I think, will lead to this as well. They will go to their customers and they talk to them that we have a solution and you can join. But this project is sort of bringing it all together, and also potentially here having the support of the central bank, which is, yeah. So this is a key project for us for sure. And we have daily meetings with the two banks, with the partner of that develops the platform. Every day at 7:30, there is a meeting. This is really quite intense for us right now, this project. And we thought it was appropriate to tell in this quarterly report that this is happening. So that's why we spent 2 pages on it. And we hope also, because what we have understood is that if and when the central bank approves of this project, then they will announce it. And that will trigger from us that we will, then we will go out with it, even if it's not finished yet, because Sirius is finished. We've done that integration. But this one is has started, but it's not finished, and that's why but there will be a trigger, hopefully, when we get central bank approval for overseeing this project. So that's what we're waiting for. Yeah.
And I assume once that agreement is in place and it's been worked through and everything, that this will act as a pretty solid use case for Crunchfish. You guys can market your interoperability, but also authenticate Crunchfish solution to other banks, not just in India, but also to other central banks, I guess, and to other banks.
This would be a great showcase for sure. As I wrote in a report on the last page of the digital cash section, it's really gives a lot of advantages of how this solution is set up. So other banks and other also payment services could potentially join into this digital cash ecosystem that facilitates digital cash payments in India. So no, we are very excited about this, and this is our, a lot of our focus is going here. We're very happy that we did a serious integration during, so we got a lot of good experience from that, and we're taking that with us into this integration that we are embarking on here together with this leading bank and their partners.
Right. So you mentioned the serious payment ecosystem solution integration, and we've actually had a question here from the audience beforehand. So first, maybe you could tell us if there's some sort of geographic, if there's some geographies that Sirius is more strong in than others, and then when you're expecting turnover to materialize from the Sirius implementation. And is that revenue model the same as previously communicated?
Yeah, many questions at once. Geography-wise, Sirius is they are sort of Singaporean, and they're strong in Southeast Asia, particularly Thailand. So I think they have a Southeast Asian focus, but they also have a South American focus, but they haven't yet done much in India. So that's why we thought Sirius wasn't a play for this leading bank. We thought it was better for the leading bank to bring in one of their own partners that is currently strong in India, and that's what is happening there. But geography-wise, Southeast Asia, I think we will have, as you know, we have been talking to a case in Vietnam. I think this could be a potential for playing in Sirius there. We're working with Viki, as we have been talking to, that they have a strong presence in Southeast Asia. Many of the cases where Viki is present, this is also where Sirius could facilitate actually the banking integration as well. So we can have them there as well. So I think what we're doing with the RBI and the leading bank, I think this is very India focused, and outside India, I think Sirius, particularly I think Southeast Asia and South America, this is where they are active, and this is where I think digital cash has its best play. Internet connectivity is not always that great, and offline payments is usually on the wish list. It would be great if we can do offline payments, because then we can facilitate much more sort of payments. Revenue model, we're thinking that the revenue model as a subscription, you pay per year, or you pay per whatever month per time, really, for that you have the facility. We still think that makes sense for offline payments. That hasn't changed. Turning it into revenue, I think, was one question as well. Well, I think you know that from Västra Hamnen, you do our on our commission analysis, and I don't think the expectations for too much revenue already in 2023, but we are in the process of actually getting this fully tested and integrated and piloted. But I think the revenue kick will come in 2023. I think that's I think your plans are going from low revenue. I don't think you have much revenue potential for us 2022, but next year I think you have something over 40 million. I think that's in your plans of a rollout, and so I think we're preparing for that, and then I think we are on track with the work we're doing now. We have that Ewallet provider, as we talked about earlier, in India. We're having this very interesting case with RBI. We have Sirius Tech. We'll go out and talk to their banks, and we have already some dialogues going already. So there's quite a few things going, and two of them we are already in integration work. As I said, Sirius, we've done our part. Then now they're going to link with banks with our solution. And similarly, we started on that with the leading bank with the RBI project as well. So I think we are, sort of where we are supposed to be. I know everybody would like us to invoice a lot tomorrow, but I think these projects take time. I think they need to be tested, they need to be piloted, and then they could be rolled out. But I think we are, we are delivering. According to, if you go to our website or your website and look at your projections that you have had, I don't think there is any. I think we're tracking that quite well. What you have at least been telling for us.
Yes, for the forecast, exactly. So I'd just at this point like to take the time to encourage everyone who's listening to please write your questions. I'll read them aloud, and then Joachim will answer them. So I thought we'd move on to gesture interaction. And you mentioned it a bit in the answer to the first question, but can you tell us about what you say that your exoskeleton stereo product, the software, has attracted a lot of attention. That attention has now manifested itself into 2 agreements. And you mentioned the 2 cameras. I was just wondering if you could elaborate on what makes it unique on the market, and what you see as the advantages are of using Crunchfish exoskeleton stereo.
Well, the reason why we want to have 2 cameras, if you have a pair of glasses like yours here, Jens Jakob, if you think you have a camera sensor here at the end, one on each side, the good thing with that wide area cameras is that you could sort of interact with both hands, and that gives you more of a even more intuitive interaction instead of just having one hand at a time. Because it is all about what's called field of view. The camera has sort of what can the camera see, and if you have two, you can have a much wider field of view. And that's probably one of the reasons why. Well, that's the reason why you would like them to have two cameras. But if you have two cameras, you have two independent streams of data that needs to be in real time coordinated and worked upon. That is mathematically quite a challenging, difficult problems to solve. And so far, I don't think we, as I said earlier, I don't think we have too much competition. So and the smart glass manufacturers, AR glass manufacturers, they want to bring this out, but they have to look for that gesture component that actually can deliver with those that stereo, that dual camera type of setup, and we can. And I think they have noticed that, and we are. I think the prospect list is very promising, and we have already announced sort of two sort of customer agreements already, and I think there's more to come. So. A hard problem to solve, I think, is the answer why we are unique, and the advantage is that you can then do interactions with two hands as well. Yeah. Right.
So yeah, just to repeat sort of what you said, but Lenovo and Ximmerse have entered into agreements with Crunchfish. They're both leading computer vision players. I think both of them were in China, if I'm not mistaken. For the use of the exoskeleton stereo software. I was wondering if you could elaborate on the agreements. So you mentioned there were more royalties per unit, and there's a slight upfront fee, if I'm not mistaken. Just wondering if you had any more information about the agreements and any potential time frame, if that has been discussed with these two.
Yeah. There is an upfront, which typically is a license fee, but is and also a support fee that we are getting, and we have that is something we upfront are invoicing. Then on an annual perspective, there will be a support fee that we have. But I think the biggest potential is not in that, but it's actually in the royalty. So we are getting a royalty per produced unit, and given their projections of what they're hoping, these are models that are coming out from Q4 and forward. This is they have pretty good volumes there, which would be a sizable business for Gesture just with these two alone, and hopefully having more players that are also coming to us for the same thing. As I said, the prospect list is promising. Then this turns potentially then the gesture side of the business into a cash positive business. I think earlier than we thought just say 6 months ago. So this is interesting for us because I think this area is it is all based on exoskeleton, but the stereo is then with a dual camera is sort of what makes it very unique and possible to charge a premium for.
Right. Sounds promising. So moving on from the AR VR space in the gesture interaction, I thought we could move on maybe more to the automotive. You mentioned in the report that the PS skeleton has been updated with more functionality during the quarter to meet the new EU regulations for driver monitoring systems in cars. Could you provide us with an update on what these upgrades for the PS skeleton mean, and more generally maybe what the latest news regarding the automotive solutions within gesture interaction where they are at the moment?
Yeah, exactly. We've got the PS. It's public screen skeleton, because I think now we turn the camera. You know, with AR VR, the camera is front looking, but now we have in the camera it's a camera that it's sort of just like public screen. It looks on you, so it's sort of doing it in the other direction. The PS skeleton, we typically combine hand gestures with what's happening with the body as well. So this is hand and body combined. So it is to get models that are working with not just hands but also body, because I think the regulatory requirements it's sort of about to control the cockpits in the car, what is happening in the car, in order to, there are safety regulations coming out from the legislative part that traffic safety needs, that the car manufacturer needs to keep track of that. And those who deliver systems for that, they are interested in how we're going to solve that for the car manufacturers. And then we are a player that I think can provide that with our fast product, and this is then the public screen skeleton version of our platform that can do that. And we had a project which was successful and was supposed to be shown at CES earlier in the year. However, the pandemic stopped. I think it wasn't shown there, but that company has been talking to their customers about this, and we are in that. To be honest, though, that the exoskeleton stereo has taken a little bit of a precedence during the Q2 quarter, given the interest. So prioritizing, I think we've been more on the exoskeleton stereo, developing that rather than pushing out. We haven't at all given up on the automotive. We still think it's important given the regulatory requirements, but there are much more business right now, and that's what we've shown with these customer agreements with Lenovo and Ximmerse. So it's more happening right now, and then our development resources has been more focused in the Q2 on the opportunities there.
Right, that makes sense. So turning perhaps to the financials, you had a warrant incentive program for employees, and that provided the company with, I think, a capital injection of around 4.6 million Swedish kronor. Although, if I'm not mistaken, it could have resulted in slightly more. As the warrants were in the money, so to speak, so the strike price was below Crunchfish stock price at the time of exercise. Are there any reasons for the program not being fully subscribed from the employee side?
Yeah, this was a program that was initiated already 2018. I think the price at the stock was then at 4, and that they were allowed to buy shares at sort of then after some revisions at 9. So 9 was the price, and we haven't been down to 9 in a long while. But I think the answer why it wasn't fully subscribed is simply that people, our employees are not that cash rich, and you can say, well, why don't you just go out and take a bank loan? But for some of those people, it's sort of 500,000 krona, and it's a lot of money for a lot of our employees just to do that. Then instead of taking that risk, buying for 9 and then maybe go out and sell it quickly in the market, they refrained. They didn't subscribe to their full allotment. I think that's simply what sort of happened. Some had a chance to buy like 50,000 shares, which is then times 9, 450, and I think everybody subscribed to something. Some took all that had the money to do that, but some didn't feel that they could afford to take that whole risk. Sort of. I think that our people that we have in these programs are not really in the stock market. They are developers, most of them, and I think they have to look at sort of what's available for them to do, and they are not sort of used to speculating on stock really. So that's why I think they. And I think they took the position. What they bought was rather to keep than to make a quick turnaround. As you can think, well, there is a gap there. Why don't you just make the gap? Well, I don't think they're into buying and selling shares. I don't think that's their. That's not what they're working with. So I think long term. They invested as much as they felt that they, for the most part, they felt they could keep rather.
Good answer. So once again, on this subject, I have a question here from the audience. Turning to financing, the T09 Echrono 9, which I think runs in December, isn't going to be near enough fully utilized at the current stock price. What is plan B? So I don't know if you can first maybe just update us on the T09 and then quickly answer what plan B is. Well, if you can say anything at all.
Yeah. I think the guy asking questions, making assumptions, it's not going to be fully utilized. I don't know what they mean with that, because the program is such that this one is always in the money, because you're allowed to buy at a 30% discount. Granted, it could be that some people decide not to utilize, but there is this gap again, just like we had in a way for this incentive program for our employees. But there is a gap between what because we're going to set an average price the 2 last weeks of November. That will calculate the conversion price. We don't know what that's going to be yet. And then at the 30% discount, you're allowed to buy shares. And you could either keep those T09 warrants and you can use them yourself, or you can sell them, because there is theoretically this value is 30% of the stock price. So, but I think it's not. And also I can mention there is a cap. They will never cost more than to convert more than 37.50. I think we've said that as well. So,
yep.
But that means that the price for the stock needs to be sort of 54 or something. Right now, where we are, just sort of at a quarter of that or something. I think it's likely that we won't get 37.50 maybe, unless we're starting to get a really good uptake in the stock price. But then we need to then go up 3-4 times for that. So I think we're not seeing we can get all that money possibly, but we still think with the momentum we have and we are showing, and we will continue to show that I think it will be a reasonable financing round, and we are planning for that, and we are planning to support that financing round with good communication, so people are fully aware of what's happening. Well, I think that's one of the things I learned, that when this incentive scheme happened with the employees, we thought it would just automatically work out and everybody will subscribe. But then I think we realized, no, that didn't really just happen like that. And I think we will be more prepared to start planning and making sure, because it's almost like having an emission of new shares. This time it's 1.7 million shares. And I think we need to take that seriously, just like we would do with any round of emission new shares. And we'll do our best for portraying with good communication the company as a promising company with what's in the pipeline and what we have. So, but right. It's very difficult to say whether what the money will bring in. And again, looking at your analysis that you had at Västra Hamnen, you were looking at this, I think, current stock price last time. I think you were saying, well, we'll get 22 million in December, and then you had another 30 million in Q2. I think you have in your so you are projecting that we probably would need to do another financing round, and we haven't started planning for that in any way, because it's hard to say what will happen now with the T09. But I think it's it's just no plans have been made, but we are determined to make the T09 financing round as good as possible and get good communication for that. But it's hard to tell exactly the turnout.
Of course, that's impossible at this stage. So I'm coming towards the end of my questions. If anyone who's listening has any questions, I urge you to write them and I will read them aloud. We have one other question from the audience beforehand, Joachim. Have you received any feedback from Riksbanken regarding their Echrono project?
They are running the Echrono project, and they've come out with a request for that you should submit what you do. We have submitted, but I think they said at this stage we are not one of those companies that they continue working with. So we did submit and tell them about digital cash, but Riksbanken, again, they are in this exploration phase, and they haven't yet we are not part of what is called now what they're planning for the next phase. Again, they didn't close any doors. They said politely that keep us updated with your progress and what is happening, and right now they have decided to work with a select few that will showcase some of the use case for the next phase, and we're not one of them.
Okay, thank you for that update. So my last question is more of a broad one. Again, we start with a broad one, we end with a more broad one. But just looking ahead, so if you look ahead to the coming quarters.
Sorry again, so I've got here from it seems to be that our chat, it's not open. I don't really know because people want to ask questions. Okay. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, maybe this was now. I think the chat. So we could get a load of questions now.
Okay.
I think this was a setting. I think so.
I'm sorry.
Everybody,
yeah, I haven't.
And we still have 45 people in here. So I think we need to give people some time to write questions. People have, I think, I see here, have been frustrated that we want to ask questions and we can't. But I think there was a setting here I noticed on Zoom here. So you may now get questions on the chat. I'm very sorry for this has happened, but again, we did plan that you should do your questions first and then open up the forum. So exactly. Please ask your questions. Sorry, it wasn't our purpose to close the chat forum. The chat is open, so send in your questions. But continue, Jens Jakob, if you have if you have more. But hopefully it works now. I don't know if anyone could try to write a question, or I write testing here. See if this sort of works, or yeah. I can at least write something, but I haven't seen anyone who have written a question yet. But hopefully this works.
Hopefully.
I don't know, but I haven't seen. I think there will be questions coming. So I think let's if you're okay with that, let's allow for that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What Magnus is saying to me here, it's still not working. That's really weird. I have it here that everyone. I don't know why the chat. It seems to be still. The chat seems to be on here. I don't know why this doesn't work. Let me close the chat on my screen and see if I can. It's really weird. We've always had this. Yeah, I don't really know why it's not working, to be honest. So let's see here. Oh, here. Now I think there was another setting here. I just said that everybody could see it. Can someone try now to write testing? Great. Look at this. Now they're coming. Woohoo! Fantastic. All my faults. There was a setting here, and which was sort of a bit down in the menus. Attendees can chat with. Now you are able to chat with everyone, so everybody can see it. So someone says, give us some time to ask some questions. Are you okay with that?
Of course, of course. That's why we do this. We're happy to take.
So sorry for the mishap. So Robert, moi, hello to you. I remember you. We'll give you some time to ask some questions. I think you're more than welcome. So it's open now, the chat forum.
Brilliant. We'll give them some time.
Do you want to take them as they come along, Jakob? I see that.
Yeah, we'll take them on a first come, first served basis. So the first one, how come you're developing tailored solutions for customers without having any sort of commercial agreement signed? If they can back out of the project at any point, Crunchfish has potentially spent millions on developing a tailored solution which won't be used. Is this the way to go forward?
Well, I think, again, this is a question. We have assumptions. We are not developing a tailored solution. We have standard SDKs, which is for everybody, that we have developed. And now what we are doing is to make integrations. So the integrations is what is happening. And what we're doing with Serious Tech, as well as here with this project, in particular with the leading bank, is that we're also making it easier by a standard component, a payment platform, which will be easier to customize for banks to join into. So it's very sort of a standardized solution. With the Ewallet we talked about in India that are interested, it is the same sort of standard solution that they have, but they will probably themselves do the backend integration. They won't use a platform, but it's we're not developing a completely tailored solution. We're not that's not at all. So I think the question is makes a lot of assumptions which simply is not valid. We are a product company developing products, but we are linking to an environment with payment services or banks or whatever, which is very different. And that integration needs to be sort of customized for that environment. But what's good with these platform, Sirius, as well as what we're doing here with Leader Bank, is that we're pushing in a way that integration back to the platform, whereas our integration is one and only with that backend, which I think makes for a very scalable model. But also that we need that platform to be part of the overall solution when we go and offer this to other than banks. Just like Sirius can go to their customer banks and others, as well as sort of this solution that we have in India. We can join in with other banks for later on for ecosystem deployment.
Right. Yeah. Brilliant. I have another question here. For how long would a pilot with Sirius run for before signing a concrete deal with them?
It's very hard to say, but I think sort of I know Sirius has already even I think they've talked to 2 banks already. There is interest, but this was early before the development or the integration was sort of ready. I think we are now in a better position to go for them to go back. I think we also can strengthen developing our material with sales material with them to explain the solution. But I think maybe we are looking at a similar case as we're having here for India, that we need 1 or 2 banks to be interested in this, or payment solutions to be interested in this, and then there will be a time where they need to link the backend, their platform, to the banking platform, and then there will be a pilot phase, just like we are talking about here. I think they need to test the solution, and then there will be a rollout after that. That is probably a process of a wild guess, but 3 to 6 months. But the dialogue, I think they've started to float it with some of their the customers that they already have. But exactly how long it will take is just hard to say.
Another question here. Can you please give us a bit more color on CBDC, Fed and ECB, for example? Has there been any discussions on this front in 2022?
Yeah. We haven't had more interaction with the Fed. The Fed is the Federal Reserve in the US. We haven't. ECB had also they did also come up with a request for end user products for CBDC. And we were shortlisted for that. But then they had a second round where they decided to, in each area, they have said, we just have the bandwidth to work with one. I think in each area, I think that's what they said, and unfortunately, for ECB, we were not one of those. So I think we're having more progress in Southeast Asia again, where we've had more focus. Our dialogue with the RBI for Central Bank of India, we were part of this hackathon we did with non-mobile devices, and now the regulatory sandbox, and we are part of this G20. Where the Bank of Indonesia is host, and we are submitting this week actually we are shortlisted for that, and we are showing what's called consecutive offline payments. This is paying from one wallet to another and another without going online in between. So this is what we have in that project. So our focus is more on the commercial banks right now rather than the CBDC projects, but we think our solution is candidates to be deployed for CBDC as well. But I think these are longer time frame in some of those projects, and we, as everybody's dying, and we as well, for when can we get commercial agreements? I think it's shorter to money to work with the commercial money, commercial banks, or commercial payment services rather than CBDC. We definitely are not uninterested. We are following it, and we are. When we feel we have bandwidth, we are filling in, and we are telling them what we do. But I think our main focus is more on the other side of commercial payment services and banks.
Right. Next question. You also read that the Ewallet provider in India that we talked about requested Crunchfish ProxiLink to switch from ultrasound to Bluetooth, and that this was delivered and tested. And the questionnaire is wondering, how is the response then now that August is coming to an end?
Well, as I heard about that, they were worried. It was this Ewallet that asked us to do ultrasound at the first place. And when I met them together with the team when we were there in May, they told us that we really need to find possibly another solution than ultrasound, because the throughput is too slow. And we said, well, we think you can try the Crunchfish ProxiLink solution. And we sent that just the next week, and the testing was just, and they said, well, they confirmed, that was already in June. That they said, great, this is what we asked for. This is the throughput and the experience for the customer we liked, and I think this is what they have taken with them for their discussion with their senior management. And the senior management came back, as I said earlier in this call, that great, we like the solution, and we think it has a lot of potential. Widen the scope, not just for going from a mobile app to another mobile app, think of more use cases and present back. And we're waiting for feedback for that comeback to the senior management. We haven't heard back, and I think the meeting hasn't yet happened yet. It will be somewhere here also end of August, but we don't know yet. But given that they were so positive in the previous meeting, which was sort of happening somewhere, I think July-ish, I expect that this probably will be also positive. I don't think they will turn around and say, now we don't like the solution anymore, because I think the team has just shown how this can be used, as I said, maybe bill payments, maybe with a sound box, other devices on the merchant side. I think that's what they are sort of looking into, what they can do.
Right. So we only have one more question from the audience. So if you don't have any more, I was thinking combining my question with the audience question. So the audience is asking, how excited are you for the future? And on that note, Joachim, looking ahead to the coming quarters, what can we expect, and what will Crunchfish be focusing on?
We are excited for the future. I think it's coming together. I think there's been a bit of people has been worried because I think we haven't communicated. I know we canceled one webinar, for instance, that we had coming. We thought we're going to do one. This was the project with the leading bank and the Reserve Bank of India. We were really close there, but then they turned around and said, well, you need to bring another bank in. And that was the one we really wanted to have at the end of June. Now I think we had to rearrange. The bank were asking for, or the central bank, you have to find another bank. You need to show it that. And we did. So I think that project, given the intensity and how that has started, and we are really delivering an ecosystem innovation here for India, I think this is the big breakthrough, that project. But we have a few others as well. Everything Sirius can do in other markets is interesting. This is a major e-wallet, one of the really leading ones. So this is also great. So there's a lot of things I think happening, and I am very proud and excited that we are one of the few, or if not only we and Meta, I think, who can deliver something on the gesture side. And the interest is Joachim Nydemark, the CEO of Gesture Interaction from us, is quite excited about the long list of prospects that he has to, and I think there will be more to come. So I think the excitement is the progress we are making, and I hope to be able to communicate on that as we go along. I want this to be official, that the central bank is part of it. I really would like to see that happening. So and it needs to happen also. So it's that I think will build a lot of excitement, and also then continue delivering great cases for real customer cases on the exoskeleton. Communication wise, I said we will step up. We need that in order to prepare wisely for the T09 financing. The webinars, I think we have said, let's put that to a close the way it was. But we think we should continue in some form. We haven't decided exactly how, but some form we will have where we will keep this open dialogue. We really appreciate all the engagement and the questions, and you know, and we don't want to close the company for communication. So we need to find that. Weekly was a lot for us, but we kept that up for half a year. And now I think we have to find a little bit of another format, but that will be something that, yeah, expect good communication going forward as well. But yeah, I'm excited about where we are. I think we've always said that we are in it for trying to do an ecosystem type of thing for digital cash in the market. And in the #1 market in the world when it comes to real-time payments, India, we have a chance at that, given that this project with the leading bank, another bank, and a good architecture with this platform provider, and also the central bank overlooking the project as well. So it's I think it's a dream team in a way for us, and our development team. We have our product lead Magnus in Stockholm, and this is really what we focus on. And I hope I have a lot of hopes for that project, and that has huge potential.
Sounds exciting. I have no further questions from the audience, and you provided great answers for all of my questions. So I think it's time to round this webinar off. Thank you very much for your time, Joachim, and for taking the time to answer all of my questions.
Thank you, and I'm very sorry for that chat. It was all my fault, and thanks for all the engagement and great questions. And thank you, Jens Jakob, for a good interview.
Thank you, Joachim. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.